Okay, I just want to go through a few supplies that I'm using for this. The water leaking out of the tank situation. So I got some PVC pipes, two 10-footers. Got these pieces to connect the hose here, which goes into the drain port of the water tank. Just took this one out that was already there. 4 corner pieces, some hanger straps, and that's for like hanging up air ducts and things like that. I got some washers, about 20, and a package of these self-tapping screws. Of course, the primer and all-purpose cement for connecting these things. A couple of L brackets I'm using here for extra mounting supports for the underbelly of this thing here. So, and we'll go from here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, I've come up with a plan, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what it is here. Now, what happened was the freshwater tank on the RV couldn't drain fast enough because one or both of the drain ports were blocked. This one was closed off because if you don't, it just leaks out before you fill it up. And I didn't remember to undo that. Usually I'm watching it better, but you shouldn't have to watch something to make it work right. It should you should hook it up to the hose. You shouldn't have any risk of damaging anything just by turning on the water and letting it overflow once you're full. So what I'm going to do, first off, I went ahead and bent this back into shape, and it's fine. And since the underbelly of this thing was probably warped a little bit from the bend of things falling down, I thought it needed more support, especially since I cut just so you can see what the problem is with the leaking. And this is the solution that I found for the leaking. You can let me know in the comments if you think that this is going to be a problem. The only thing I can foresee is maybe a siphon being created at some point, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. This is what happens. This tank under there is only like 7 or 8 inches deep, but it's really wide. So if you just have a slight angle of a few degrees, you're losing 1/4 of your tank or 1/5 of your tank there to one side, and that's just going on roads side to side and things like that. And we saw this in action. And also when you're filling up, if you're not perfectly level, and anytime it's just going to leak right out the side. So that's the water level, and this actually goes down now, but I'm going to make it go to the side. Now looking here is my plan, so I'm going to make it go to the side. So this will actually come down, and this leaky water right here will actually be vented across to this side. So when you're tilted this way, the water will want to come this way, but then it'll stop at the water level, and it won't leak down here. And this one is the vice versa. So here's the pipes. I'm going to route it around, and this is going to empty this way. This side is going to empty on this way. So that's what I've come up with, and I'm going to go ahead and start mounting things back up, and hopefully it all works out. The tricky part is going to be converting it from this flexible hose into the PVC here. I got some pieces. I'm going to have to add some heat, stretch some things a little bit, and hopefully it works out just fine with the friction and the tightness I have. So that's the plan. I'm going to be mounting this up, and may just add a couple clips here if I don't do separate videos. I'm going to get a lot of these wires out of the way. They should have been tied up in the first place in the back, not to be pulled down by any mishaps. And I'll let you know how it goes once I get it up here and mount things. The trickiest part of this project, in fact, I thought this hose was the size larger. It's actually a little bit smaller than I thought. So this is going to be a little bit too large to go in. It's also a little bit too large to go in here, and this is not what it's intended for, but I'm going to put in my pliers here, needle nose, and stretch this out. Then I'm going to apply some heat, and if this doesn't work, I'll have to figure something else out. Maybe just go ahead and attach to the actual fitting here and do something different, but I'm going to try it this way and see if we can get it to work. And again, this is not going to be pressurized. This is an air vent, and it vents out extra water when it fills up. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to stay put once you have it set. I just took this plier and just moved it around in circles to winnow this down just a little bit, and it's going to fit. I also recommend possibly just doing a hose clamp on this. A screw-on kind would be just fine, but I don't have that, and I think this is going to work. I'm going to add glue to it, and there shouldn't be too much. Now, I like that. We could have gone all the way to the fitting here, but I could risk breaking it as well, because these are brittle, and I don't know if these are at least 8 years old, maybe less. But in any case, I'm gonna apply a little heat, put some glue in here on both ends, and I think this is gonna work out just fine. Okay, this actually turned out a lot better and a lot easier than I thought. I did apply the primer and then the cement, and I put the heat on the inside of this with this propane torch just for a few seconds. I've been working it, making it looser too, but actually I don't think it needs a clamp or anything else. I think it worked out just fine here. That's not coming off. Okay, at this point I want to point out a couple of things. This is the opposite side, so there's a lot more stuff in the way over here. Backed it off a couple of turns, added pipe thread compound. Make sure you use the pipe threading compound that is safe for PVC and plastic, because there are some that are not safe for that. This one came on just like the other side, really good. And make sure you prime everything. Getting ready to hook up this here. This is primed on the inside. I'm just going to use the same type of all-purpose cement, and then I'll attach corner pieces and stuff like that later. I'm just getting this stuff on first, and this hose is flexible. Don't put this on until you've gotten everything in the right position, because that's going to be hard to twist around the threads here with all this stuff hanging off. So it's going to be near impossible. And then I'll position it, get this on, and then I'll go ahead and mount this system next. Mount this whole tank, and then I'll do the PVC corner pieces and the rest of it afterwards. Okay, I was repositioning the jack, and I put this up here on the lip, but before I did that, the stuff slipped out and it kind of came down here on my knees and stuff. But when it came down, I noticed some drips of water coming down. So looking closer, you can see that there's a crack right there. I didn't notice that before, so I don't know if I just now jostled something, but actually I was just wondering what all this glue was right here. See all this glue everywhere? So I'm guessing that was there. That's what someone had did. These things had cracked or broke, and they just glued it. So I'm gonna have to seriously consider how I approach the situation here. I'm guessing that this thing got jostled a little bit and it broke the glue that was around there. So to be continued. We'll see what I have to do here. Okay, doing this in a few steps. So what I did first was get the plastic real hot with my propane torch, and I used a flathead screwdriver, got that really hot as well, and then I started melting the plastic with that hot screwdriver and pushing it over the crack. And then once I did that, I got my all-purpose cement here, which can be used on PVC, also ABS, and put that on here. Now it needs about 60 degrees to cure right, so I still got the torch here warming things up as it cures, so I put that on top. And for strength, I'm a little bit concerned if this thing gets jostled or something. So I'm thinking about going ahead and putting Bondo around there, kind of as a protective and maybe just an extra strengthening layer next. So that's the plan. And you know, the key was I got some alcohol up in there, hopefully to dry any moisture. And the key is to melt plastic on plastic. So what I forgot to mention was I I got a clear zip tie, and I melted that and I dripped that. Once I melted the actual plastic around here, whatever this glue stuff is, I think it's actually plastic. I think someone did this before and they melted plastic around here. Now I'm not sure if that had been done before. If I did this just by dropping it, I might have done it, but something was done, and you can see that they melted that plastic around there. So I'm just going to reinforce with some Bondo, which you can use that on top of plastic. I believe that's what I've read. So, and then we'll see what happens when I fill it up. So then there's some pressure, and then when you fill up and then it overflows and pushes through those tubes, then there's extra pressure. That will be the test. Okay, now I got the Bondo on there. I let the torch blow down here, just apply a little bit of heat beneath it so that it could cure well. And you know, the main part of the Bondo is just adding strength. It's not to stop any leak or anything, but under here, since the crack, I guess you can't see this too well, sorry, but since the crack is on this side, I have some Bondo in between these two nozzles here, so that if this thing gets pushed over that way, something's keeping it from, and then something's keeping it from being pushed over this way with the Bondo, so it can hold it still, hopefully. That's the idea. Okay, this is what it looks like mounted. You know, since the tank was empty, it didn't really weigh a whole lot, and actually went fairly easy to get this in there. My only concern is these self-tapping screws here that went through the side. Really didn't find some of them got a little snug, one or two, but a couple of them were pretty loose. So, you know, but they don't have to be real tight here. See, there's the two on the side, because you know, this is really taut. You know, I mean, it's pressed between here. So the only thing that would pull it is if this bends down like it did last time. This is where it bent down, and then it kind of pulled those from this side. So that's a problem in and of itself. Anyway, I don't think there would be a problem here unless this thing blows up like a balloon and bends this again. It just needs to be held in place in those positions. So we're going to go with it. And now here's the pipe. I'm going to have a corner piece here. It's going to come over to this side, and then this one right here will have a corner piece and go over to that side like my drawing I showed earlier. And but before I do that, I don't want to get all that stuff permanently in place. If this leak over here I repaired, it's not going to work out too well. So I'm going to go ahead and test it and fill it up. That's the next step, and hopefully it holds water, and it I guess I'll have to be prepared for a lot of water to come out here, because I'm going to let it overflow and see how that does, and how much pressure it puts on this repair, and if it holds. Okay, it's getting full here. Let me check this one. Okay, the overflow spouts are working, and you know, on the road, I know sometimes we might forget this, and it might have higher pressure than what I'm flowing to it right now. So I just want to see what happens here. Just praying that this works out with my repair job. I ran this pipe over here from over there because I just didn't want all this water in my mat. But it is overflowing. It seems to be working. There's no drips coming down right here from the repair job. So far so good. And okay. So it is fully coming out here. And I guess I'll turn off the water. Success. I could test it with a little bit more pressure. I'm a little bit leery of it at this point. I might try tomorrow to add more pressure, faster water, or maybe I should just turn it up now. I mean, everything should be fully. That's a lot of water. And this thing, we have a lot of pressure here at this place. So both overflows are coming out fully. Not seeing any drips there. Guess I'll double check. I might test it a couple of times and make sure it's good. But it appears that we have a good repair, and we'll go from here. Okay, just turned it off 30 seconds ago, but I do see a problem or a concern here. You see that the bend, you can see that this is bent. So it is weakened compared to where it was. I don't like to see that bend in it. That's not good. And it's taking time for this. The water's still overflowing here. You know, going on a minute after. So man, that's it's bringing in, it's pushing up against the floor, and it's just these, even having two drain ports, there's more pressure going in than is allowed to come out. And a lot of fill places, a lot of places where you put the water in it, they do have a lot of pressure. Looking here, every now and then I thought I saw like a drip or something, but I don't see it. The repair seems to be good, holding that pressure, but I would feel better if we had some more bracing here or something to hold this a little bit better. And I guess that still was weakened, but this is, there's a lot of pressure going in there. So, they're still letting pressure out, so there was a lot pushing against there. So I think that these, it's really at the corner piece. I don't know if you can see up in there, but it's up in the corner piece there is, this is a 1/2 inch PVC 1/2 inch hose, I believe, but at that corner it's more like 3/8. So you got two of them, but it's not enough to allow a lot of pressure out. Now that's another design flaw, I guess, and I'll have to consider what to do about that. So here we are. I conveniently found this angle iron at a hardware store just 18 miles away. Thankfully, I didn't have to drive an hour to the Lowe's again because of this bend. Now it is still bent. We got about a 1/2 inch gap there. I considered putting a spacer at the bottom. I didn't think it was as important as putting that screw in, the self-tapping screw, to hold it level. I put this angle iron to the L, basically this flat piece down, because then I can screw here, and I don't really need those L brackets that I bought. And so here it is over here. We got the self-tapping screw. It's going to hold it down. It's going to be fine. Most of it, that's just to hold it still. And we don't, if this thing bends, it's going to want to kind of twist a little bit. So I didn't do that. So I mean, that's why I put that in there. And then here I had a little extra piece of the angle iron, and I slipped it in here where it bent before, just to add the spacer right here a little bit. So that's where all the weight's going to be, but it's fine because this is basically double the strength that it was originally from factory. I'm assuming, if this was factory, which I'm not surprised that this side was, there's a 3/4 gap here, 1/2 inch over there. So when they screwed this in, the side that you get water from was higher than that side, and that would also explain why one of these tubes would drain before the other. Now, like I explained before, that problem's going to be solved because we're going to run this PVC pipe all the way across here. That one's going to drain to this side, and this one is going to drain to that side over there. So either way, if you're on an angle on the road, you're not going to have, several gallons of water leaking out. So we'll just go from here. I think I'll put a little bit of Bondo right here, keep this thing from sliding around or coming out. It's not going to come out because we got this situation here with these guys coming down. So I thought this was the best way to do it, and the easiest way. If you got a lot of time and money and stuff, you can probably take it apart and just redo stuff, but I think this will work just fine. I just wanted to add a strength so I didn't have to worry about this thing happening again. We'll have to be very careful when we drain the water because it just doesn't allow the water come out of the 3/8 corner piece you know, versus this 1/2 inch pipe I'm putting on. That's the restriction. So, and it's okay that it's down a little bit because that allow it to, it's not much, like 1/8 or probably 1/4 of an inch here. It's going to allow it to balloon out a little bit, and we do want a little bit of flex because I don't want to blow out my repair job here and have other problems. So we'll go from here. And the next step would be to kind of clean this up and put this back up. I'm going to grab that 1x4 wood piece there. I'm going to put it across here, and then so I can have something to push against to tape this, and also put screws in to hold it in place. Okay, I got my drain ports hooked up. So you can see that this side here drains to that side over there. So if this is at an angle and the water wants to come out this side, it's not just going to all drip out. It's going to have to go all the way through this tube to the high side before it even comes down. So we're going to keep our water. It's going to be more efficient this way, and hopefully just slightly less fill-ups. Also, Bondo's looking good here, holding this stuff in place. I also want to mention that since this one was 1/4 inch lower than that side, I just put I glued in a wood spacer here, a 1/4 inch spacer. And let's see, what's the other thing I want to point out? This thing does hold some weight. It is sagging a little bit. It might have an 1/8 or 1/4 inch sag. This one is sagging 3/8 of an inch. So I'm kind of, we're just helping each other out here. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now I'm going to be putting the this thing up here, and hopefully it all looks nice when it's done. I'm going to grab that wood board next and put it across here so I have something to screw to and hold things with. Okay, I got the under laminate up, or the under cover. This is why I needed this wood piece, not necessarily to hold, well, to hold things up, but also to hold it together. And I also use these screws at an angle to pull it a little bit, but there's still a gap. So next I'm gonna do a little bit more caulking up in here. Then I'm gonna spray, do some Flex Seal, and then I'm gonna do some spray foam up in some of these holes, and then we should be done. Okay, I'm starting to lose light here, and I just finished. I'm gonna show you the finished product. Now I did spray foam up in the gaps, and keep in mind that I used door and window spray foam. I didn't use big gap filler. Big gap filler tends to fill up and then keep on expanding as it cures. And then after I did that, I sprayed it with Flex Seal, a black Flex Seal. So it's a black rubber coating. And so even on top of my screws I put in just to protect them. So here's that gap where the wood is. Over here, I really spread around this the drain, the manual drain here, because just want to protect that. We had this uncovered in the night. It got down to like 27, and I guess some water frozen here. Now it drips a little bit, so I'm gonna have to get another one of those. I'll have to cut this back a little bit and get another one of those. But anyway, I'm pleased the way it turned out for the most part. Even sprayed these little drain PVC pipes that I put in, and that's the finished product. So yeah, there was multiple problems I had to solve here. So now I know that I have double the support that I had before with the extra angle iron in there. It shouldn't drain out to one side more than other, even though one side is 1/4 inch lower than the other. So I fixed that with crisscrossing the drain with the PVC pipes. And yeah, I forgot the other issue. Yeah, there was it's done. I'm happy. I'm glad it's done. Let's not do this again. I just filled up the tank, and they both started going at almost exactly the same time. So that's what we want to see. And of course, I slowed the pressure down after I saw full, Its full is just a little bit below full, but yep, it's working well. And we'll just have to really watch it just due to that way it's designed. I mean, it's probably, there's a lot of pressure here, a bit of an overpressure, but we'll just watch it. We'll just really be on top of it. This is a whole lot better than it was, and there was no sag at all here, as I noticed, so we're in good shape.